welcome again to Live at Lords, our exclusive live show from the home of cricket ahead of today's Women's One Day International between England and India. It's the third one of the series. We do know that India have wrapped up the series, but listen, there's going to be a great match in store for you. We have great guests as always on the programme, not to mention the lady who's sitting alongside me. But if you tune into Live at Lords before, you know how we do this. We'll have obviously questions at some stage of the programme, so make sure you keep commenting in the comment section below. And a few things we've got today. I mean, an excellent exclusive we've got today with the legend of not just Indian women's cricket, but world cricket as well. We've got Mithali Raj, former India captain, who's going to be on the programme today, as well as Jhulan Goswami, another Indian legend, the fast bowler who is set to retire from the international game shortly. So all of that still to come, plus some quotes from Alice Capsey, the teenage sensation who's taking the game by storm in this country in particular. We've got some great content with her as well, and her first game at Lords as an England player. So you've got plenty to look forward to today. And I said we're delighted to welcome some great guests to the programme. And I have alongside me the MCC director, foundation director I should say, Dr. Sarah Fane, who joins us here in the JP Morgan Media Centre. How are you, Sarah?
Very well, thank you.
Welcome to Live at Lords.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And it's the end of September and you've brought the sunshine with you as well, so we couldn't ask for anything more.
Absolutely.
How are you? How is the foundation going? And I suppose, first things first though, to have women's cricket here back at Lords is just such an important occasion as well, isn't it?
It's wonderful. I think the most famous ground in the world, having women's cricket, a really exciting match today. It couldn't be better. You know, I think of all places, that feeling that cricketers have walking through the long room, walking out onto the hallowed turf at Lords. I mean, what an amazing occasion.
You have a privilege of actually working here and probably have an office here. How special is it still to come into a place like Lords for you?
Well, every morning when I come through the gates, I realise how privileged I am. I work in the pavilion. We look out onto the ground. We see the groundsmen working day in, day out. And it's just a really special place, not just to play cricket, I imagine, but also to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the buzz never changes for me. I think every time I approach and you come along St John's Wood, Finchley Road, that area, and you can sort of see the stadium in the distance, you think, yeah, I'm coming to somewhere special yet again. So yeah, it never changes for me. And also an important occasion to mark as well. It's been, what, 5 years? I'm trying to get my maths right. 2017 when we saw the Women's World Cup final here between the same two sides. It was so dramatic. I guess my big takeaway from that moment was, right, we need to see more of these sort of games involving the best women's cricketers in the world here at the home of cricket. So I guess, you know, naturally you'd be an advocate for that as well, because it seems far too long that these two teams have played each other.
Absolutely, and I think that the really exciting thing is we are seeing much more women's cricket at Lords. We saw the 100, you know, packing out the stadium. We've actually even had our own national hub competition for our beneficiaries, and the final is played at Lords each year. Last year was the first under-18 hardball match for girls. So it's really getting there, and I think in the future we'll be seeing much, much more of the women's game here.
What have you made of the 100 in particular? Because we've got Alice Capsey on the programme a little later, and she is one of the stars of the tournament over the last 2 years, and it seems to have unearthed a great next generation of women's cricketers as well.
I think it's just an inspiration for a whole new audience to come to places like Lords, to see these women playing, to see the excitement of the matches. I think there are lots of girls picking up bats, and to see young girls like Alice Capsey coming into the game, it's such an inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you're also involved in some great work for the MCC Foundation, but for those who may not know the MCC Foundation and what they do, what they stand for, just give us an explanation on that.
Well, the MCC Foundation is the charitable arm of Marylebone Cricket Club, and we've been in existence for 30 years, and we're all about transforming lives through cricket and making cricket a game for everybody, whatever their background, race, creed or gender. Making it accessible, giving people the opportunity to play, and all the amazing things that can happen to an individual through that to help them thrive in their lives. So we work in the UK and we also work overseas. And in the UK, we run an amazing project for 3,000 young people aged 11 to 15, all from state schools, trying to break down the barriers to enter into the game of cricket, trying to nurture their hardball cricket skills, taking them out of the participation programs and sort of following their journey through cricket and helping them to develop a lifelong love of the game.
Yeah, so important, super important. if you want to ask Sarah a question, please do, as always. A question about what she does at the foundation, and you can do via the live chat as well. You've probably used it before. It can be displayed on the side as well, so you can have a look at it there. And you can also get in touch with Twitter, of course, as well, and use the hashtags and use our handles at Home of Cricket. Use the hashtag Love Lords, and then of course you can keep in touch with us throughout the programme. Now you heard from Sarah already doing some fantastic work with the MCC Foundation, and they're set to celebrate their 30th anniversary next year, so a wonderful occasion, I'm sure. Ahead of that, we did speak to the MCC president and the current ECB interim CEO, Claire O'Connor, who explained how they're helping to improve access to cricket for girls of all ages across the UK and wider.
That trip to the Al-Sama project in Lebanon was, I think, the highlight of my year. You know, it was unbelievably humbling to be part of that experience and to be in that environment, to see those boys and girls who've lost so much in their lives, to see cricket trying to fill their lives with something joyful and powerful and giving them a sense of identity, a sense of purpose and belonging in a new environment. You know, many of them new in refugee camps throughout Lebanon. So for those children to have cricket in their lives, you know, just it was an amazing thing to see. You know, we take it for granted a little bit in this country because cricket has always been in people's lives, or many people's lives. So it was a really inspiring trip, and a really stark reminder of the powerful work that cricket can do to bring people together who haven't got very much, and give them a sense of something to believe in and to make their lives better. It's simple as that.
I follow the MCC Foundation, and they've done some great work over the years. Just an example of the difference they can really make. And Sarah, how important is it that we continue to see girls, well, I suppose up and down the country, take part in not only sport but cricket itself?
I think that we all recognise what sport does for individuals. We've got huge problems in this country with obesity, with mental health. Children are facing really big issues. It's hard with the social media. So I think that sport is becoming more and more important. We recognise what it does for a child's mental health, what it does for them in life. But I think that cricket offers something very particular. It's such an amazing team sport. It teaches leadership. It teaches us how to cope with the highs and lows of the game, with how to be with our teammates to make the most of it. I think it really encourages leadership and confidence. And it does something very special for young people. It helps them to thrive in life. So I think that to do this for girls, and especially as cricket's been seen as a man's game for so long, it's very empowering for girls now to be getting the same opportunities, to be playing at places like Lord's.
Yeah, and that platform on
it's amazing, and it'll be a real game changer.
Absolutely. We've seen, well, what the impact of the 100 has done for the women's game, but it certainly feels like work the foundation are doing is also proving critical in improving the international game too, and that's such a massive part of what the MCC do as well.
Yes, I think with the MCC, the foundation stands to make a really big impression on the international stage. I worked in Afghanistan, and I was supported by the MCC, and we managed to take cricket all over Afghanistan and really help them with the development of their cricket. We're doing the same now in Nepal and East Africa. And especially with the women's game, we've got a real opportunity to help these girls who haven't really played much sport before, and they grab the opportunity. They're so talented. In Nepal, we're already seeing girls that had never picked up a bat a few years ago starting to play for their national team. So we stand to play a really important part in that development, not only of people's lives, but of the development pathways for women and for men across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later as well about the camp, obviously in Lebanon as well, which I've been to personally and covered, and the MCC have. So we'll talk about that a little later, and the wonderful work which has been done with refugees across the world. So yeah, we'll talk more about that. But the excellent MCC Foundation is something worth checking out, of course, across our platforms. Look, we're going to be talking more about the foundation in a little while. But we have a little something special for you guys, a real treat. Mithali Raj is an absolute legend of Indian cricket. She retired earlier this year, so sadly she won't be involved here at Lord's, but we have managed to catch up with her during the week, thankfully, for an exclusive chat about today's game. And she's also paid tribute to Jhulan Goswami, one of her oldest teammates, who is also set to retire for India very soon.
I think it is going to be a very special game. Another stalwart of women's cricket is Jhulan Goswami is going to retire, and someone who shouldered the responsibility of the pace attack of Indian team for a long time. Both of us have been teammates again for many, many years, and seen some very good wins, bad losses, but I think it's commendable for Jhulan to have such a long career as a fast bowler, and she's been an inspiration for many in the dressing room. It is quite rightful to sort of bid goodbye to the sport at loss. It will be very special and a very emotional game for India and for her. But I guess all of us as players one day have to go through this. But then I think it's time to celebrate her achievements and what she has brought to the Indian team over the years and to women's cricket. I would say it should be 3-0 because India has got a very experienced side. England, of course, the main players are not playing, but having not, they don't have Heather and Skiver or Brunt. The experience is lacking, but still, I think as a young side, they have shown a lot of potential and grit in few of the moments during the games in the last couple of matches that I was able to catch up. So, but then because India has got a lead, they should go in for 3-0.
Lovely to hear from Mithali Raj, an absolute legend of the game. And she spoke so well about Jhulan Goswami, who's set to make a final appearance here today at Lord's at the home of cricket. And Sarah, there's no better place to do it than the home of cricket. Whether you want to make your debut or play your final game, it's probably the most iconic place in the world to do that.
I think absolutely, and I think to be choosing when to retire, to do it from Lord's after a series win, I think the first time in 23 years, what better way to leave cricket?
Very good knowledge, yeah, since 1999. Sarah's saying
I've
to me,
been
don't
mugging
test
up.
her cricket knowledge, and there she is. We've got a badger here amongst us. So I love that, Sarah. And also, an interesting thing about Mithali Raj as well, she's a real bookworm as well. She's real. She has an interest in literature. She's one of those who's an interest away from cricket as well. She has incredible things to say when you interview her properly. So yeah, I'd love to actually have a chance to speak to her again. If you have questions about India's side as well and the game today, of course, keep your questions coming as well in the comments section. But the last time, as I mentioned earlier, the two teams played, 2017 World Cup final here. It was just an incredible match at Lord's because the drama and the pendulum just swung so many ways. Swung so many ways. And it was, an incredible day. At the Home of Cricket's YouTube channel, we've actually released a special documentary. And it features the likes of Anya Shrubsole, who's so pivotal on that day, Tammy, Beaumont and Sarah Taylor. Here's a sneak peek of what you can expect.
I remember being up there, I said, there's another twist to this game yet.
It was almost the silence beforehand and then the eruption.
The ball hitting that stump, me screaming.
I think it was a game-changing moment.
The crowd were going wild in the stands, just utter euphoria.
It was what we call a watershed moment in cricket.
Quad on strike, Shrubsole in now, both for Bowser! 6 wickets for Anya Shrubsole, England's hero! England win the World Cup in front of a packed house at Lord's, who go nuts in the crowd.
If you haven't seen it, it is well worth a watch. You can catch it on our YouTube channel and loads more great content across the channel, of course, across the year. So make sure you subscribe for more at Home of Cricket, just to remind you. Sarah, I loved that day. I was here. I was lucky enough to watch it and interview some of the players afterwards. Do you have any special memories of that day in particular?
Unfortunately, I was in Afghanistan, so I didn't manage to see it. But I was talking to Claire Connor about it the other day, and of course I remember that I heard all about the match at the time, but Claire was saying to me that it was one of her favourite moments in her cricketing career, being here at Lord's watching it. And it was such a sort of game-changing moment, a moment a bit like the Lionesses recently, which will mark history, which inspired people here, which inspired people around the world, which got girls picking up bats. Remarkable.
Yeah, I was interviewing some players on the pitch afterwards, and the noise was incredible. Everybody stayed behind for a long time for the presentation, and it was a lovely, lovely day. Anya Shrubsole, of course, one of the stars of that day, as I mentioned. Her bowling performance was arguably the catalyst for that win, and her performance that day is surely going to be remembered in the annals of the home of cricket.
To be able to play in a World Cup final is pretty special, but to be able to do it at home, out here at Lord's, in my mind the most iconic cricket ground in the world, was just a day that hopefully I'll never forget. But yeah, to be able to lift the trophy out here was something special. I see Lord's as the most iconic ground in the world, so to have a small part of something that I've achieved up there is pretty incredible, to be honest. Not exactly sure I can put it into words, but to be able to have this, I guess, for myself as well and have it somewhere around the house is pretty special, and I'm immensely grateful for, I guess, to have that. We're very fortunate to have 2 World Cups over a couple of years, and to have 2 England victories out here at Lord's, so to have that wall with 2 massive pictures of the squads is pretty incredible, and it's something that as a team we should rightly be immensely proud of, and for it to be remembered in that way is special.
Memories that will stay with Anya for a lifetime, and she particularly loved being on the Father Time wall, which you can find just behind the Compton stand actually here at Lord's. A wonderful occasion that was, and as a player and a professional, Sarah, not many in the women's game come more influential than Anya Shrubsole.
No, what a woman, and we all need heroes, we all need inspiration and role models, and it's so wonderful to have someone like her in the game.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that influence, I suppose, when she's playing still in competitions like the 100 and the Hey Ho Flint Trophy, things like that. And sadly, we do know that Anya is retired from international duty, but she does leave behind an incredible legacy for the next crop of England talent, the next gen. And they've been here at Lord's actually training, and let's take a look at behind the scenes footage of them in action, enjoying their place. Some wonderful shots there of the next gen, and one of the players you'll notice there is Capsey. Now, the great story about Alice is when she was just 13, she was actually here watching England win that famous World Cup final back in 2017. She was in the crowd that day. Now, as an 18-year-old, well, she's not only shone for the international side, but she's also been here at Lord's performing brilliantly for the Oval Invincibles in the 100 competition. A great, exciting talent, one to keep an eye out for sure for the coming years ahead. And we got to speak to her during the recent 100 tournament about the prospects of playing here at the home of cricket and representing her country.
Oh, absolutely. Like, India is a world-class setup and team, and they've shown in major tournaments how good they are, and I think kind of just being a part of that series, if I am, it would be amazing. And like you said, playing here at Lord's in an international game is pretty much a dream come true. So no, it's brilliant, and I think it's amazing that the women can play here and are playing games at higher class grounds now. I think it just shows the professionalism, and I think it's deserved. The England team have performed so well over the last couple of years that it's, yeah, they've been amazing.
Alice Capsey there, an exciting talent for the future, and great to hear from as well. Look, we know she has a bright future in the game as well, and Sarah, someone who's an example of, I suppose, opportunities given to young girls to play cricket, it can make a huge difference to them, but not only them, but sport itself, as we're seeing younger girls getting more and more active.
Absolutely, and I think that's the heart of our vision. How do we reach these girls? How do we give them those opportunities? Because they're denied to so many. And so how do we really open up access to the game, break down those barriers and make sure that they, like Alice, can be our next generation of amazing players and what that can do for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of questions which have come in for obviously pitch reports. At this time of year, it's very difficult to sort of suss out actually what would be a good pitch report for myself. The actual wicket looks pretty good actually behind me. It looks pretty firm. Not a lot of grass on there. And then we were actually talking, myself and the team, and saying actually, is it a bat first, get runs on the board? But then again, if it starts to swing and seam in late September, you might want to put them in and roll them out early. So yeah, listen, the best thing is to come down to Lords and look for yourself and find out, and then you can give your own pitch report, figure out what the best thing to do is. Sarah, a simple question from me to you. Who's going to win today?
I think England are going to win today.
You do?
I hope.
Bouncing back.
Bouncing back, yeah.
Have you enjoyed being on live at Lords? And just briefly, the final few things that I wanted to ask you about the foundation and donations you're asking people to donate as well, you were talking about earlier as well.
Yes, you can text to donate on 70450. 5 bat for £5, 10 bat for £10 and 20 bat for £20. That'll all be up on our social media and on your channels. It'd be wonderful if you can support us, because we already have 10,000 beneficiaries each year. We want to multiply that, and we want to really help to change the world through cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned Lebanon earlier. I managed to go to a refugee camp out there and see the wonderful work the MCC have done over there, as well as the people who are living in those camps. So it's an excellent foundation, and yeah, please do donate and keep across all our platforms and channels, so you can be up to date on any great work that the foundation is doing in the future as well. Have you enjoyed being on our programme today?
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you. You've been great. It's lovely to speak to you, and we hope to see you again on the
Thank
programme. That's Sarah, Dr. Sarah Fane, talking to us today about the MCC Foundation. It's been great having your company, not just today, but across 2022. You guys have been sending in questions, commenting across our videos. It's been lovely getting to know a lot of you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and keep an eye out, I should say, on the future content we're going to be providing for you on Live at Lords shows next year, and not forgetting all the exclusive content that we already have available. A big summer of cricket will be on the horizon before you know it. So look, have a lovely, lovely day. Enjoy the game today. And I've been Ankur Desai. The One Day International will be starting in the not too distant future. I'll see you soon and have a great day. Goodbye.